Hey guys, Batates here. Welcome to my Vermintide 2 Hero Tutorial Series. Today we're looking at Bardin the Dwarf, and he has 3 advanced classes. The first one is the Ranger Veteran, the second is the Ironbreaker, and the third is the Slayer. Now, the game has been released, so some of these have been toned back for whatever reason on this particular screen here, but I'll jump into the character and show you exactly what you get from the passive abilities. But to start with, let's talk about what each class does. Ranger Veteran, here's the range specialty of Bardin. However, I find that the Ironbreaker tends to do it a little bit better because his range weapons seem to be more beneficial. However, Ranger Veteran has crossbows and other weapons that are very accurate, and he has ways of regenerating his ammo. He also has ways of getting out of trouble and staying out of trouble for quite some time with his career skill Disengage. The Ironbreaker is very defensive, and like I covered with Marcus and the Foot Knight, it's all about blocking and absorbing damage for your team. Arguably the most tanky in the game. Some would say it's the Ironbreaker, some say it's the Foot Knight, but I've been recently convinced that it's the Ironbreaker because of his skill Impenetrable. Basically means he takes no damage for 10 seconds. And he has a true taunt which lets man-sized enemies or below attack him when he uses it. It used to work on bosses, it doesn't anymore. Now, the next one is your melee DPS, the Slayer, and this guy is a lot of fun. A hell of a lot of fun. So quickly jumping into the Ranger Veteran so I can show you his more advanced skill sheet right now. He also gets an increased ammo capacity, besides specials dropping ammo pickups on death, and he also gets an increased load speed. So you can see he's all about that range. He gets a reduced range spread by 25%. He gets an increased effect of healing, and he gets an increased attack speed. So which one do you want? I personally prefer the spread reduction because you want to hit those shots in the head. That's the best way to get the maximum amount of damage, and the range spread being decreased by a quarter really helps you with that. So he also gets 15% power increase when out of ammunition. This will turn you into a pseudo melee and range hybrid, kind of. But this is a range class. Go to Slayer if you want to go melee. Increase movement speed by 5%. This is just for the memes. You really don't need this. And curl up when grab or pounce, take less damage. Now, if you're not getting attacked, grab this. This you should probably never grab, and this on higher difficulties. Survivalist grants a healing drought instead of ammunition, 1 in 4. This is amazing. Getting healing droughts is life-saving, especially on those higher difficulties. Increases ammunition restored by Bardin's ammunition pickups. This doesn't restore that much ammo to start with, so this kind of makes it better. But I still think Battle Brew is better in almost every situation. And this one grants a potion that's, you know, your speed potions or your concentration potions or your strength potions. And honestly, 1 in 4 chance of getting healing drought is much better than 1 in 3 of getting one of those regular potions. Critical hits grant temporary health, kills grant temporary health, and when bosses die, get health. This one is a hard one, but because you probably shouldn't be taking damage, you want the kills grant temporary health one, unless you get a lot of crit gear, in which case just drink enough is fine. Increases duration of disengage to 14 seconds. This last 10 seconds already, it's quite a long duration. I don't think you really need this. Reduces the cooldown of disengage by 30%. This is a lot better because you can use it a lot more often. Bardin recovers 12 health while activating disengage. 12 health, oh not 12, why did I say 12? 20 health when activating disengage. 20 health is actually not that much. It's on higher difficulties a lot more because you have less health naturally. But on earlier difficulties, don't bother with this. Later difficulties, it might be what you need. Now, let's have a quick look at what his career skill does. Bam, you're in smoke. Now none of these enemies can really see you, so you can go in and attack with Reckless Abandon and you will not be targeted. Very simple. Let's look at the Ironbreaker. Now, the Ironbreaker completely absorbs 1 hit every 20 seconds. You want to save this for those big Chaos Warriors that will 2-hit you. If this blocks that hit, you're laughing. Reduced damage taken naturally. You also got increased stamina naturally, so for example, you'll have a lot more stamina shields. And you also are resilient, increased stun resistance. So you're very, very tanky. Surprisingly enough, you have very good range options as well, which I'll go through. Effective block and push angle. This means off screen you'll be pushing your enemies as well as in front of you, depending on the weapon that you have. Very useful. So is Stout Fellow. 20% extra health is always good, and an extra stamina shield is always good. These are all good options. There's not a bad option here. Depends on how you want to play, how much stamina you have to begin with, if you're running out, how much health you have to begin with, and if you're running out. And the effective block and push angle is crowd control. If you need more crowd control, that's the one for you. Reviving an ally reduces the damage taken by 50% for 10 seconds. This is good on higher difficulties. Reduces overheat generated by Drake fire weapons by 30%. I use this because I love the Drake fire weapons, and I will show you them very soon. After landing a charge attack, Bardin recovers stamina 40% faster. So this has the pickaxe icon here because it's probably ensuing that you should use the pickaxe if you want to use this, but this is just a great ability, full stop. Go for a charge attack when you get the shield and axe or shield and hammer, and you'll suddenly have all your stamina shields back. So you'll be able to block even more often. So it's block, 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 stamina, block, 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 and then charge attack, and you get back all your stamina. Increase stamina regeneration by 50% when Grommel armor is activated. Okay? Pretty straightforward. When this has activated, you get an increased regen. It's almost encouraging you to get hit, isn't it? But no, it just makes you more tanky. Recovers 10 health when the armor absorbs a hit. I find this just as good as this, depending on if you're actually taking damage or if you're blocking the damage. So it depends on how good you are as a player or what your playstyle is. Reduces the cooldown of the armor to 13 seconds. Reduces it by a good 7 seconds. Always good. These are all good abilities. This is the same, this is the same, and this is the same. I would recommend when bosses die gain health, because if you're gaining health, it's very hard for you to lose it in the first place. But if you're gaining it, then you can use those bandages on someone else that needs it in the party, and you're all about protecting them. So that's what you need to do. Increases duration of impenetrable to 15 seconds. An extra 5 seconds, an extra 50% duration is good. It will make you last a lot longer in those bigger fights. Taunt radius increased, don't get this. Or now forces bosses to attack. Now we talked about this before. This is really, really good because bosses are what will wipe you in a high difficulty a lot of the time. So getting that boss on you and then being impenetrable is crazy. Alright, let's have a quick look at the career skill. Bam. You can't see what it does because these guys don't attack me, but I will overlay it with an example video. Now, let's go over the Slayer. The Slayer is one of my faves because it gets a stacking damage buff on an enemy hit. This includes bosses, so the more you hit the boss, the more damage you do, and also has naturally increased attack speed. Gets the ability to raise its health, always good since you won't be blocking that much because it's all about slaying. Nah, you should actually be blocking, don't listen to me. Increases critical hit chance by 5, very fun, very good. Especially if you're using twin axes that don't have a lot of sweep comparatively to a larger weapon. So critting through enemies is really good because you will end up hitting more and you will end up having to do less strikes against the individual enemies. Increases dodge range by 10%. This is buffed, I believe it used to be 5%, but 10% is much better than 5 obviously, but still it's probably better to do more damage or be able to take it more than increasing the dodge range. 10% isn't really that much overall. Damage taken from one attack is reduced to 15 damage or half its original value, whichever is highest. This makes you surprisingly tanky combined with Stout Fellow, because this is a set amount of damage 15, whereas this is a percentage based. So together, if you want to go tanky, those two are great. Increases movement speed by 5% when you're the last hero standing. You have to be the last hero standing to get 5% movement speed, and 5% is awful. Never get this ever. If you get this, there's something wrong in your head. I'm sorry, this is a bad skill. Critical hits cause enemies to take increased damage. These two work together. That's why I've got these two. Oh, I wish there wasn't a character wipe so I'd still have my level 25. Anyway, increases duration of buffs gained from Trophy Hunter. Now, this. Okay, it doesn't tell you how long the duration is, but it just increases it. Trophy Hunter also increases defense. If you get Stout Fellow and Oblivious to Pain, you want Moving Target as well. On max stacks, Trophy Hunter grants cooldown reduction for Leap. This is the one I usually get because I love Leap. Leap is amazing, and we'll go through that in a second. Critical hits grant temporary health. If you go a crit build, get this. If you go your normal build, get this. If I see this is the crit build, grab this, get some crit items, and you'll be laughing. Kills grant temporary health. This is probably better with these two, and if you're finding yourself against lots of bosses, this is the one for you. Increases the stagger effect when landing near enemies with Leap. This just makes them stagger for longer. Pretty straightforward. Attacks are uninterruptible after using Leap. They'll be staggered for a short duration, so I don't find this that useful. But this increases movement speed by 25%. This is the only time where I'd say movement speed is incredible, because I tested this and it was very fast. You actually feel the distance, and you just go around like a maniac. It's either between increases the stagger effect or the movement speed for me, but this still has it. Anyway, another thing I'm going to note while this regenerates, you can only equip 2 melee weapons. The Slayer doesn't have access to ranged weapons. So you might want to put on your twin axes here for your attack speed, and then you come against a very armored target. You might want to pick up this pickaxe, overcharge it, and bam, you can get through the armor. Which you wouldn't be able to do normally. I would recommend using a hammer or an axe, honestly. Two-handed hammer is probably one of my favorite ones. I don't know why that didn't pierce through armor there. There we go, because it hit its shield. Two-handed hammers is great for armored targets. Now this is the Leap. Let's use it. Boom. Where you land here is where you'll start the stagger, and also your attack speed will be buffed after you land. And there it is. Worn off. Very fun ability. Okay. So those are the 3 advanced classes. I will go through the weapons now. So you have your dual axes. Very straightforward. High damage, fast attacks, and it breaks shields. So, very fast attack speed. Keep in mind I'm the Slayer right now, so this is slightly faster. If you charge it, you'll do a double strike. And this will actually pass, if it kills one grunt, and there's another grunt behind him, the second strike will actually hit the second grunt, which is pretty cool. So it does sweep, as you can see. So it does hit everyone in that wide arc. Has low stamina, and its pushback isn't that great. Then you have the pickaxe, the war pick. Wide sweeps, crowd control, heavy charge attack. What is a heavy charge attack, you say? Well, let's have a look. You have your standard attack. You have your charge attack. Look at that. Look at that. If you heavy charge it, it's an overcharge. Here's a normal charge, and then it extends to a heavy charge. Bam. That will pierce through almost everything. So that is a very, very powerful attack. Then you have the hammer and the axe. I'll go through the hammer first. Fast attacks, wide sweeps, crowd control. Okay. So it's fast attacks, it's one-handed. Doesn't go through armor normally, but if you charge it, it does. And it sweeps for their head. So it does sweep normally. When you charge it, it's an overhead attack. Then we have the axe. The axe is high damage, shield breaking, and armor piercing. So normal attacks will go through armor. you charge it, it goes overhead as well. So it depends on your play style. Then we have the Great Axe, which is a lot of fun as well. It hits the head very, very often. And it's surprisingly fast for a two-handed weapon. Does a lot of damage and it sweeps. So hard damage, armor piercing, shield breaking. We've gone through the regular axe. And now we just need to go through the axe and shield. So let's jump into the Ironbreaker. The Ironbreaker and the Ranger Veteran get access to shielded weapons. Like so. So let's just quickly have a look. Axe and shield. High damage, shield breaking, powerful blocks. The blocks are powerful, and if you hold right click, press left click, you'll push everyone over in an arc. It's not just a slight pushback, they'll actually be thrown over, which is amazing. The shields, shove is the best in the game. Well, any shield, shove is the best shove in the game. So then you have the axe. It's like the other axe, the one-handed axe, except you get a shield. So if you're the Ironbreaker or the Ranger Veteran, having the shield and the axe is better than having just the axe. And same goes with the hammer and shield. Very similar. So those are the weapons that Bardin can use. The shield can only be used by the Ranger Veteran and the Ironbreaker, and the dual axes can only be used by the Slayer. Now, range weapons. The Ironbreaker gets two exclusive weapons, the Drake Fire pistols and the Drake gun. I'll go through them later. First, let's look at the Grudge Raker. It's a shotgun. Bam. Bam. You get the idea with shotguns. This one has 2 ammo. Go for the head. Get up close. You do a lot more damage. It pierces armor. And it has a wide spread. Not as wide as Marcus's shotgun, the Blunderbuss, but it's still fairly wide. Then you have your crossbow. This is your sniper rifle of sorts. Like so. You can hold right click, zoom in, and the crosshairs get more narrow, enabling you to land your shot a little better. It's a bit of a wide gamble when you're moving around though, because the crosshairs are quite wide. There's not much ammo in it though, so you do need to go the Ranger Veteran if you want to man that gun. Or man this crossbow, so to speak. And then we have the handgun. Handgun is another sniperish kind of weapon. A lot longer reload speed, but a lot higher damage, as you can see. So both of them have high damage sniper and piercing bolts, high damage sniper and better headshot damage. Now we have the Ironbreaker exclusive weapon, the Drake Fire pistol, and this is what makes the Ironbreaker better at range, in my opinion. I mean, better at medium range. At longer range, the Ranger Veteran is better. But these Drake Fire guns have no ammo, they just have that overcharge meter at the bottom there, and over time it'll dissipate. But if it builds up to its max, like so, you will explode. I'm running around in panic and bam, explode and you die. You take heavy amounts of damage, and unless you have some kind of temporary health or armor boost, you will drop most of the time, especially on hard difficulty, so you don't want it to overcharge like that. But this hits everyone in its explosion radius, and if you get a headshot, it still counts as extra damage, so it's pretty cool. Crowd control, damage over time. Oh, that's right as well. It does apply a small dot. Then you have the Drake gun. Now this is your close range weapon. Left click, you just put out like a little blast of fire, but if you hold it in, you start absorbing oxygen, and if you release it with left click, you can spray for quite some time. And this will do quite a lot to those massive hordes of rats and chaos. Probably one of the better close range weapons. Now, those are all the classes. So just to recap, Bardin, you have your ultra long range, stay out of trouble Ranger Veteran. You have your very tanky Ironbreaker that also has some pretty decent range options. And then you have your Slayer, which is all melee, all getting up close and doing a lot of damage, and arguably has some of the best melee DPS damage potential in the game. Thanks for watching, guys. I had a lot of fun making this video and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and click that little bell below. And if you haven't already, be sure to join my Discord. It's full of fantastic like-minded individuals and you get to talk to me directly as well. So I'm Potates and I'll see you next time.